So if you're just beginning to wear contact lenses, then this is the video for you, because I'm going to show you how to put in contacts easily and without hurting yourself. Let's take a look.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the video from Dr. Joseph Allen, one of the hero videos with 468,000 views on YouTube, which is why we are so lucky to be joined with him for our today's webinar, Build Your YouTube Channel Like a Legend. And I am very, very fortunate to be joined with a YouTube legend himself, Dr. Joseph Allen. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is really cool.
Well, if you're just joining us, this is our second webinar in a series of 8 that we are doing. This is being broadcast live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Hello, Dr. Hesterman from Red Deer. Nice to see you. First and foremost, we're going to dive in. We're going to learn all about YouTube and how you can actually leverage the platform yourself to build an amazing platform and reach and influence, just like Dr. Allen has done. I'd like to start off by thanking our sponsor, J&J Vision. Thank you guys very much for helping support this. Like I said last week, when we kind of talked to our friends at J&J and told them we were putting together sort of a content series during the COVID crisis, they jumped in and just said, how can we help? How can we support? So we're very fortunate to have them along the ride as a sponsor and a partner. Joe, we're going to kick off with an introduction. So I'll start. My name is Kevin Wilhelm. I am the president and co-founder of marketing for ECPs. We're a digital agency servicing the eye care industry. We have a great team that we work with. And one thing we do on Fridays during our virtual happy hour is we've created this thing called Building Isolationships in Isolation, where we sort of bounce around on a Zoom call and ask each other one question and get to know each other. So I'd like to start, Joe, if you don't mind with that. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, and just the question I have for you today is, with quarantine, what's one thing, a habit or something that you've picked up that you're just not going back? Like, now that you've incorporated in your life, you're not going back to the way things were. What would that be?
Well, I think for what's been going on, being that things are just kind of settling down a little bit more, things are a little bit more relaxed in my life, being at home so much. So lately, I've been spending more time connecting with old friends through video chats like this. And one of my best friends that I grew up with, he loves to just play video games online. And I haven't really had time to do that with everything else in life between work. And so for the last couple of days, him and I have been playing for like an hour a day just to kind of socialize and do something on the side. And honestly, I've been looking forward to it like every day. So it's been a nice relaxation thing. And I hope that I can at least still do some of that going forward, just so I can stay connected with him and a few other friends. But pretty fun. How about yourself? What have you been doing?
For me, it would be very similar. It's late night weekday chats with friends over wine. Friends that we both have kids, and we otherwise just see each other when the kids are all running around. And so we've agreed that once the kids go to bed, we open a bottle of wine and chat. I don't think I'm going to go back to that. I think having adult conversations without the kids running around is definitely the way to go with a lot of friends. So so a little bit more about you. So can you open up for our viewers and just give us a little background of who you are, where you went to school, sort of where you practice currently, just so they know who you are, the man behind the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I graduated from the Rosenberg School of Optometry in 2015. I then did my residency at the VA Medical Center here in Minneapolis. And then since then, I've been mainly working in private practices. At first, I was in a private practice about 3 days a week, and then I was kind of going to other private practices the other days of the week. At some point, I became more full-time at the practice that I've been at now, the Buffalo Eye Clinic, which at some point I realized I loved to teach, and we didn't have any students, and I knew we weren't going to have any students at that point anytime soon. So it kind of was one of the motivating factors to even growing into YouTube. So yeah, that's kind of how everything started.
Cool. And so, take me back to, a couple years ago. Your channel is almost 2 years old now. I think you kicked it off 2 years ago, July, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I'd love to know the why. Why YouTube? Why did you ever get started with it? What was the reason behind it?
That's something that I've reflected on and realized that there was a lot more motivating factors that kind of led me that direction than I even realized at the time. Really, again, I love to teach. I wanted to educate. I wanted to have other students or whatnot for me to teach, kind of like I had like in residency and at a couple other clinics where I had students. And I would come home feeling somewhat unfulfilled with just my normal day-to-day job at the clinic. And I was also driving my wife crazy because I would still talk about eye care here at home with her, and she has no interest in knowing about eye care. So I was there was a lot of things happening at once, but I use a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I bought a house around that same time and had to mow my lawn. My lawnmower was broken. Didn't know how to fix it. So I talked to my dad, and he didn't, he kind of walked me through how to fix a lawnmower, but I did not understand what he was trying to explain. So I just looked up on YouTube how to fix a lawnmower, watched a 10-15 minute video of that. And then I was kind of like, wow, this was great. I feel like I know everything about lawnmowers. And I was like, what is there about eye care? And there was nothing. There's crickets. Or there was very few videos out there, but they were usually like a retina doctor who is like 70 years old. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was like looking off in the distance, and he was using our medical jargon that the general public will not understand. So I was kind of like, gosh, there's got to be something more entertaining, something more educational that could be out there. And those were kind of some of the first seeds that started kind of pushing me thinking about, hey, what would it be like if there was an educational channel about eye care out there? What would it look like, and how would it work? So that was kind of the beginning.
Got it. And I have a lot of questions for you today, and we're going to get through them. But I also want to just bring to the attention that because this is an open forum, it's a live webinar, please post some questions for everybody watching, both in the comment box, and we see them here on the screen. If it's topical, we'll throw it in right away. If not, we are doing a Q&A sort of at the end to bridge sort of the questions I have. I will also get into sort of paid advertising at the end. The majority of this, though, is all about the organic content and stuff that you've created. So take me back to that first video you created. Like, how long did it take for you to film it and edit it and get it up online? Like, walk me through that process.
Oh, that was when I started the whole YouTube adventure, when I decided, yes, I'm going to do this, because I was talking about it with my friends and family, other eye doctors, for like 3-4 months. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of doing this, but I really didn't have any motivation to really start doing it. But I'm somebody who feels bad if I say I'm going to do something and if I actually don't follow through. So of January 2018, my New Year's resolution was like, nope, I'm going to do this. So I said, there's no going back. I had to buy a camera. I had to research what kind of camera to use. I had no idea I didn't even know how cameras worked. So I had to look up what kind of camera to use. Do I need a camcorder? Do I need a regular camera? Do I need to use a webcam? I need to figure out sound and lighting. Because I knew that if I was going to start the channel, I knew I was going to be some level of an ambassador for our profession, and I wanted it to have some level of quality. I didn't want it to be just some guy in his t-shirt in his garage talking about eye care. So I bought all the equipment in January. I didn't publish the first video till July. So I had spent 6 months kind of researching what equipment to use, how to use it, learning the editing software, which was probably the biggest learning curve for me. Just trying to learn new software. I think around March, so it's probably 3 months in when I first started videotaping and then plugging it into the editing software and playing around with it. But it still took me another like 3 months before I felt comfortable enough that I could start doing this repeatedly on my own. So it did take some time.
What other New Year's resolutions have you had that you have actually, like, of all the people I know, your New Year's resolution was to be an ambassador for eye care on YouTube. So you have 134,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. Was that the expectation? Did you expect that you would hit that type of mass influence and following?
Yes and no, in the sense that when I started stumbling onto it, I kind of had this dream of what it could be. But at the same time, I'll tell you this: after I started posting the first 4 or 5 videos, I went into a little bit of a slump of almost depression because nobody was watching. Nobody was subscribing. I had like 60 subscribers. They were my parents and my best friends, and maybe a few of my staff. But that was it. And I just, no one was watching them, and I was getting really frustrated. But I kind of decided, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's not about how many views or subscribers I get. I'm like, if I make a video and it helps one person, just one person, then it's totally worth it. Because I enjoy talking about my profession and I enjoy the creative process. So again, if I can make an educational video about one topic that helps one person, then it's completely worth it.
So walk us through this graph. So this is sort of the timeline of when you posted your first video back in the summer 2 years ago, and you can see a steady progression. So maybe kind of walk us through, what we're looking at here.
So this, if you ever start a YouTube channel of your own, they give a lot of analytics. They give a lot of data. This is just the very skim of the top of it. And so this is the full timeline going from the July of 2018 when I first posted a few videos and all the way up to today. And you can see all the spikes. There's a few like alarming spikes kind of in around October, September, November of 2018, another one in March, and then one's closer to December of this last winter. And you can see this steady incline through the entire process. But that's me just being consistent and posting new videos and engaging with the viewers and answering people's questions. And it kind of has a snowball effect.
Interesting. We've had this question asked about 7 or 8 times. What's the editing software that you use?
Yeah. So there's lots of editing software out there. There are free editing software. I tried a couple of them. Even Windows has a video editor software. If you're an Apple or Mac user, they have their free version. But there's a lot more. If you get into the paid software for editing, you get a lot more benefits. You can start doing a lot of plugins. You can do animations. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, which is part of the Adobe Suite cloud. I have the full cloud, so it comes with Adobe Photoshop, comes with Adobe Premiere, comes with Adobe After Effects, which does a lot of special effects. I'd say I use probably 3 programs out of the 20 that they give you, but for a yearly subscription, it's like everything you ever needed for any sort of marketing or video creation or anything like that. So it probably has the steepest learning curve, Adobe Premiere does. I know probably 2% of what that program can do, but it's from the little I've learned, just teaching myself either through the Adobe program, which they have they kind of teach you how to use it as you buy it and you go through it. But it's gotten me to where I'm at today. So
you weren't a designer, you weren't a video editor, you didn't go to school for that. Like you didn't take courses. This was self-taught, went online, figured it out.
Basically,
okay. Yep. Cool. So I've put this graph back up because you mentioned a few spikes, and in our talk earlier, we kind of talked about a few hero videos that sort of boosted your whole presence. I know that one of them was the one we started this whole webinar with, which was how to put in contact lenses for beginners. What were the other couple of videos that have really just caught and spiked in? And I am seeing a lot of questions about equipment. We have a slide all about equipment for you guys, so we will for sure get to that in probably about 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah, and I see a lot of the really amazing questions, and I definitely am excited to get to those. But to get back to what you're asking about that, Kevin, those spikes, so those are the first spike at the very beginning around kind of September, October. That was a kind of what's called a breakout video. That was when at some point, roughly, and this is not just for my channel, but for a lot of YouTube channels, because I even have other medical professionals I know who are building channels, and it takes about 3 months or so to consistently post until something grabs and the YouTube algorithm understands what you're even talking about. So that first spike in September was a floaters video I did, which was the second video I ever made, which was, and it's just filled with problems. You know, if you go back and watch that video, I'm like embarrassed by it. But, and I remember getting ready, I was editing it and I was like, this problem, I shouldn't have said this. Oh, this problem is wrong. This problem is wrong. And I thought to myself, you know what? No one's going to watch this anyway. It's a second video. I'm learning. I'll just put it out there. And then that ends up being the one that blew up and still today has the most views. I think it's like 800,000 or something.
Yeah, it's over 800,000. Yeah.
So that was that video. The second spike on there was the transitions contact lens video, which was another really successful one.
So tell us about that one. Why do you think that one? And I actually have it here. So I'm going to unplug my mic so you can hear it. We just have the first 15 seconds to show you.
So in this video, we're going to be putting on the new AccuView Oasis with transitions so that you can see my first impressions of this new contact lens. So let's take a look.
So, you know, it's funny, we are sponsored by Vision, but it just coincidence that happened to be the Oasis with transition happened to be such a huge hit for you. Why do you think that was?
Well, a big part of that video's success was, you know, transitions. Thankfully in our profession, we do get a lot of products before they even launch. So I won my representative from AccuView, from J&J, gave me some of the transition lenses about a month beforehand. And before I even opened them, I kind of had that spark of idea. I'm like, oh, wait, I don't want to just open these up and try them on my own. I should do a video of me unboxing these. And because unboxing videos is very much a trendy thing on YouTube. There's whole multi-million subscriber channels of people just unboxing stuff that they buy and they talk about it. So I'm like, if I do an unboxing video and it's of this lens and it's a new technology and yeah, obviously it's going to look dramatic. I have blue eyes, having gray eyes. So I kind of had these gears running in my head. I'm like, if I can make this flashy and inviting at the same time and kind of have this cool vibe, I knew it would catch on and it would at least qualify as it could potentially be a viral video. So even though that video seems very like spur of the moment, I very much engineered it backwards. Like I knew what I wanted to get out of it. So I just said, okay, I need to get this out. I need to make it. Wrote down what I wanted to do in the video, and the next day made and shot that video. So,
and we're going to talk about thumbnails, but do you think any of the success had to do with how, no offense, but just crazy you actually look in this still image?
Absolutely. So that is a huge part of understanding the success of YouTube videos, and even the YouTube itself tells you that. They even say, hey, do you want to be a better creator? You should learn about thumbnails. Because that's essentially the billboard for the video. It's like driving down the road and seeing different billboards along the side of the highway. That picture is the billboard for this video.
And like sort of with the way YouTube works, it is the #2 search engine in the world, right? It's owned by Google. Google's #1, YouTube's #2. People are going to YouTube to find information. They just want to be served the information in video format rather than websites and text and having to read it. And so do you think the cross promotion here with the, like, I think you put this out right at the time it came out. Obviously there's a huge press release about it. It was topical. Do you think that the search engine algorithms of people searching for what this product is or what it can do sort of helped your, the view rate of your video?
Absolutely. So I used a couple of different tactics when this video came out. Even when J&J started running their own ads for the new product. Every little advertisement that I would see on Facebook, on something on social media. After this video was created, I would say, "Oh yeah, I tried them, I loved them," and then I would include the link to the video. So while they were running ads on it, people would still see the comments underneath, and then they'd see that link, and it would hook them over to my video. So there's a couple of strategies there, but for sure, because it was coming out and people were searching for either new transition lens or transition contact lenses, it certainly grew pretty quickly. There was even a little bit of a hoax belief, and I know because I had so many comments, people saying, "Oh, this is a hoax because it's releasing April 1st." People thought it was an April Fool's joke. And it even caught trending, and that's what was a huge thing, is that it caught trending on reddit.com. So there was a huge thread about it, and my video got thrown up there. And so you can, on the back end of YouTube, you can follow where people are coming from. And so you could see that the amount of people coming over from Reddit to watch the video is really high.
That's kind of how the internet works, right? It's great content. You don't know what's going to get picked up. It's sort of why we create, great innovative blog content. This just happens to be your platform, but you create these great, this great unique pieces of content. You don't know what's going to pick, what's going to get grabbed. And I guess that's sort of what happened here. When we talk about just creating great content in general, can we dive into some tips that you have just on what tips do you have when deciding what type of content to create?
Yeah. So at least in terms of just how to create things, or are you asking more of like what kind of video ideas?
Let's do on tips of kind of what you see here on the screen in terms of when you're putting it up.
Certainly the big things, knowing what topic you're going to talk about. So in eye care, knowing that, hey, I want to talk about contact lenses. Okay, well, what do people want to know about contact lenses? And then going from there, hey, how do I title this? I always try to think of what are the best, most eye-catching titles I see on the newspaper, like that front headline when they say, whatever is collapsing, with exclamation points. So I try to think, okay, how do I title it that's eye-catching? Because if it's just like a run-on sentence that isn't something that's motivating, if it doesn't hit a pain point, if it doesn't strike curiosity, then the people who see that title aren't going to click on it. They're not going to bother through. They don't want to waste their time. So a title has to be really strong. And there's so many different strategies in order to use your title, but I'd strongly recommend, if you're going to get into making YouTube videos, you look at whatever titles are already on that subject, such as I look at magazines, even Review of Optometry or some other eye doctor magazine, and I look at whatever title for the headline of that article is. They're smart at creating interesting titles and headlines. So that's one way to at least start titling your videos.
In digital marketing, we call that clickbait.
Clickbait, yeah. And there is a little bit of a clickbait game in terms of YouTube. You don't want it to be purely clickbait. You don't want to be in some sort of watch this video, it'll help cure your floaters 100%, and then they watch it and it's just a cat video. That's very obvious to YouTube when that happens. So that they shut down your video.
But when you talk about titles, knowing that it's a search engine and people are there to ask questions, is that part of your titles, or is it trying to put the answer of what the video content's like you're answering a question?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of my videos they have a question mark at the end, or it's about a topic, but it's trying to help answer these questions that are already that patients come and ask me about. They're questions that I know people are going to be. If the people are asking me in the clinic, what are these squiggly dots in my vision, then I know they're asking that online.
Yeah.
So I kind of just use that. I kind of use that sort of thought process to come up with video ideas and help answer those for patients. So
got it. Cool.
A couple of the other things on there was the thumbnail. We kind of mentioned that. That's your billboard. You needed something eye-catching because that's on the side of the screen. If you pull up YouTube, all the different pictures you see, before they even read your title, they're going to look at your thumbnail. So you need to have something eye-catching. As an example, recently I posted a video last week that was all about dark circles, like tips for getting rid of dark circles. It's bright green, and I didn't choose it to be bright green randomly. I chose that because no other videos about dark circles at the time have a bright green thumbnail. So if somebody's looking for that information and they see this bright green object to the side, they're more likely to look at it and then read the title, and then they think, oh yeah, I should watch this one, and then they maybe will click through. So that's just one tactic to get people to at least notice your videos more. And then back on the topics, certainly just knowing, like right now I'm doing a lot of videos about things you can do at home. Like I did a video of like how you can fix your glasses at home, how to like improve your dry eye symptoms at home, just because knowing that everybody's at their house. You can also kind of find other trending topics. Allergies are more often, seasonal allergies are here in the spring and in the fall. They're not really popular in the winter. Same thing with sunglasses. Talking about sunglasses is more pertinent right now and in the summer, and maybe less in the winter, depending on where your market is. You could be in Australia and it would be the opposite. But
right. Okay, well, so these are great. What about, you kind of mentioned it earlier, what about creating content? What type of strategies or what's the process you go through to determine what type of videos that you want to create?
Yeah, so I initially, when I first started, I literally just wrote down ideas based on what people were asking about. I knew every day I'm talking about astigmatism. I knew that every day I'm talking about glaucoma and eye floaters, those sort of things. Those were in my initial ideas of like, okay, I should talk about this. I should get this. And, the list is never ending. I've got hundreds and hundreds of video ideas I need to get to. And then as I started making these videos, I was thinking, wait, what if I just started using these as a resource for patients in the clinic? So I'm like, oh, well, I could spend an hour explaining to a patient about what is glaucoma, what are all the different treatments for glaucoma, what are all the testing we do for glaucoma. And I was like, oh, wait, these are all different videos I could make. And even if they're not viral videos, I could at least say to a patient, oh, I need to see you back for glaucoma. I need to do these tests. If you want to know more about them or what to expect about that visit, I have these videos, and I have a little business card that has my YouTube logo and my search, like all the information. And I can just say, hey, I want you to look for these videos, and I want you to watch these so that you know what to expect. And then all of a sudden they go home and they watch all these 4 or 5 videos, and it's just more contact points that helps re-emphasize the importance of their examination, of their follow-up for checking for glaucoma. There's all these great benefits. But yeah, certainly that was kind of the initial developing ideas. And now I have so many viewers, I get so many questions every single day. It's like I can't even answer all the questions that make videos for all the questions that people ask. But yeah, at some point it just never ends.
Interesting. So I think some people may look and say, I only have so much content, right? You see some channels that have 4 or 5 videos and it kind of ends. You're saying there's just so much out there that there really is an endless amount of content ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where, I mean, you could, there's a lot of channels out there that have been out for like 10 years and they're saying the same stuff. Like every year they remake the same video. I need to remake my astigmatism video. There's different ways to say things, different ways to show things. A lot of your subscribers don't even see the same video, because I'm getting, new subscribers every day who don't know that I have a video about migraine auras, that they maybe need to see that video. So there's always reasons to even remake a video or just title it a little different, or like talk about a different disease or a different treatment or something like that.
Cool. Just a reminder to everybody who is watching, this is being broadcast to Facebook Live as well as YouTube. Both channels store the video, and so it will stay there, kind of ongoing. And then we have a page on our website that has all of our previous webinars. We have done many in the last few weeks, as well as some downloadable resources, some on e-commerce, some on just kind of like a marketing playbook. So feel free to go there and you can see all of this great content. Joe, about your style, I want to talk about your unique style. I think somebody had mentioned that, they feel like they don't want to watch your videos because it's going to permeate into their style, and they want to create their own unique style. What was the thought process into creating your style of video? Because it looks like you have a formula that works for you.
So first, just getting on camera and speaking on camera is very difficult for just about everybody, except for the few people who are just like born naturally good at it. I still struggle with being on camera and trying to be energetic, because if you try to just explain something without energy or enthusiasm, there's kind of the saying that camera adds 10 pounds, but it also saps about 50% of your energy. So in order for me to be energetic and kind of excited on camera, I kind of, it's not like a morph or transform. It's just I became kind of more energetic. So that's one thing. I do encourage people to be excited and don't be just kind of mumbling on camera. You do want to have some sort of a camera presence, but it's something that comes with time. You just need to kind of find your voice and be yourself. You can't really copy other people's style, because if you do, one, it's not you, and people will see that. But then ultimately, people will tell that you're copying someone else, and you lose the authenticity of you being you. So it is something that you just kind of have to work on, whether it be you. I practiced when I first started. I practiced talking in the mirror, just to kind of better understand what does it I look like, what does I sound like. And if you start getting into this, you'll probably, I don't know if you've ever done this, Kevin, if you've ever done a recording of yourself and then listen to it, you're like, my voice doesn't sound like that, because the voice you hear in your head isn't the same voice you hear coming from a recording.
Yeah, it's interesting advice. Like I do a lot of speaking, and I feed off the energy of the crowd, and I will look and sort of speak to a few people in the audience, and that sort of gives me that energy, like I'm having a conversation. Yeah. And I enjoy the webinar because at least I can talk to you. I know there's people watching, but you and I can have a conversation and feed off your energy. But I understand that, you're turning record on, it's just you in a room, and you have to kind of force that energy. I think that's a great tip. A question that I have though is, what about if you're the practice owner and you don't feel, we've had a couple of jokes of, I have a face for radio, not for YouTube. What if you are sort of someone that just doesn't present well on camera? Is there an opportunity for you in YouTube? How do you recommend, do you utilize other staff? Do you hire somebody? How can you use this platform if you yourself are uncomfortable with the camera?
Wow, there's so many. Certainly, if you had staff members who wanted to do it, I'm sure you could pay them if they wanted to take that on. Certainly, hiring another doctor who would be interested in doing it, or already has an interest in social media. The other thing is that there are companies who are interested. There's companies that offer their services to do complete videography. That they have stock video, they can create things for you. So there's different opportunities there. I even had somebody locally that I reached out to that I haven't used any services. I've been doing everything on my own, but I'm at the point now where I'm at least asking other people in the community for help shooting video, so I can shoot more videos in one day rather than me having to move everything and set everything up. You can outsource. If there's something you're not good, it's just like running any other business. If you're not good at something or you don't like doing something, it's more efficient and better for you to outsource it than it is for you to do it yourself. But
yeah, some advice I might give on that too is, if you want to build up the YouTube channel for your practice, but you're not the person that want to represent, choose a strategy that doesn't tie you to a staff member that may not be there long term and may take their brand and go to another business. So that's sort of a marketing, business advice that I would throw out there is pair yourself with someone that would be around for the long term. If you're using someone else, have a contract in place that allows you to continue to use them even if they don't, work at the practice. You've built this up individually for yourself, right? The title is Dr. Eye Health. You've created it for yourself. We've had some questions, and I've noticed that it doesn't really highlight the practice overly well, but that is just as much of a strategy. Is that if you wanted to create this and tie it into a practice, that's all you really have to do, right? Is just add that piece into your video, add it into your content, add it into your call to actions, right?
Absolutely. In a few of my videos, especially early on, I would at least give a call out to that, hey, I'm here at this. Because again, I've been an employee. I haven't been an owner in the clinic. But I would at times be like, hey, we're shooting at this clinic, or we're in this optical shooting this video. Because then it would kind of give a shout out to where we're located and for people to reach out if they were interested. So I think if anybody's doing this as part of their clinic, do that. Say like, hey, we're from here. We're here. If you're in the area, come stop on in. We're happy to help. Just throwing that little thing and throwing your logo in the corner, and then including like a backlink to your website in the description. Over time, you're going to get people following through. Even though I don't advertise on my videos where I'm at or where I practice, people search the internet and they find out where I practice. And I'm getting phone calls from all around the US, even places outside the US, people asking questions, wanting to know more because they found me on YouTube. I have patients who are driving 30 minutes, 60 minutes, several hours. I even had one patient drive over 1,000 miles from across the country to come see me in our clinic because they found me on YouTube. So it's pretty nuts.
Well, let's just touch on that just a second more, because so many times we work with practices and you want to create sort of a brand for your practice, a brand for you. You want to attract the right type of patient. I hear that over and over again. I want to find a way to attract the right type of person. You found a way that you've had someone drive 1,000 miles in to see you. What does that mean? Like, in terms of, is that what the expectation was when you created YouTube? Are you seeing that more and more, that people are walking the door, they want to work with you? Is it translated to more patients than just kind of a big, have you been able to translate your platform and your reach into actual patients in the door?
Oh, yes. It's interesting because I do a lot of videos. I don't have a ton, but I do have a lot of videos about dry eye. And I know that's a trending topic in the world right now, and definitely in eye care. But I have patients who are coming to me. It's interesting because some people come specifically telling my staff that they came in just to see me. They tell us before they even see me, so I get kind of a heads up. But there's also a big group of people who come in who are new to our clinic, who don't tell the clinic or anybody in the staff that they found me on YouTube until the very end of the exam. Then they'll just be like, oh, by the way, I loved your astigmatism video. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it's definitely it definitely translates to growing the clinic, to sales. So in more ways than just people finding us, but also utilizing the kind of the skill set that I've developed and also using it to do more marketing for kind of our services in our clinic too. So
love it. So let's talk about subscribers. So you have, I saw in the graph we showed 137,000 subscribers. Those are people that have watched you on YouTube. They have an account, they click the subscribe button, and they're notified when new content comes out. So you've had millions of views overall, but you have 137,000 people that follow the content you're putting. So can you walk us through some tips on how to actually grow that? Because I think you told me today about 475 people a day are subscribing to your channel. 475 new opportunities to deal with. You're growing your reach by 2,000 to 3,000 people a week are choosing to follow your subscription. So how did you do that? What tips do you have to help increase subscription rates?
So a big one is having some form of telling your viewer, hey, if you're enjoying this video, if you like this type of content, if you like learning about the eyes, vision, or vision products, then you should consider subscribing. So there are some channels out there who never say, hey, you should subscribe. But the reality is there's a lot of people out there who watch YouTube, who watch these videos. They don't know how YouTube works. Like, my dad has no idea how YouTube works. He doesn't know what subscribing means. He doesn't know that. And so a lot of the people who may be watching your videos, and even mine, they don't know to click the button, or they just continue to watch. So I tell them in every video, hey, this is what I'm talking about. This is who I am. If you like this content too, and you want to keep seeing this stuff, hit that subscribe button. And it's incredible that only about 8% of all the people who watch my channel, only about 8% of them have subscribed so far. So There's a lot of statistics that YouTube gives you, but I would definitely suggest telling people to subscribe because then you'll get more people to click through. And I think on average, it takes about 2 to 3 videos for someone to see you before they follow through and actually click the subscribe button. So it takes a little bit there. Posting consistently, we have on there. I know several people have asked, like, how often do you post? I've been dedicated to posting 1 video a week since January of 2019. Before that, I was posting kind of haphazardly, just kind of, once or twice a month as I was still learning the editing software. And I think you got to go at the pace. If I was starting it again, I would just definitely do the same thing. I would go at the pace I needed to. But when I started realizing that, hey, there's some success with this, I should just keep doing it. So I've pushed myself to post consistently at least once a week. Part of that is showing up for those subscribers. If you say, hey, I'm posting 1 video a week, you got to keep showing up. You can't just post 4 videos and then quit for 9 months and then post again, because being on social media is part of being there and responding to people. And then the final one I have on here would be to be helpful and entertaining. So I tried to do a little bit of both. It's called edutainment is the proper term. If you can be educational, that's amazing. I think there's a lot of space for eye care to be about that because there's so much that the world doesn't understand about eye care that we do. So trying to breach that gap and bridge that over is, I think, a huge help across the world. And then to make it somewhat entertaining so people continue to watch and have fun and learn something new and they can think it's cool, then that also grabs people and keeps their attention. So if you can do both of those, people are going to like you. You're going to help them out by teaching them something new, and you're going to make them laugh or make them smile, then they're more likely going to like, subscribe, and share that video.
Cool. Before we get into the equipment, which is next, I do want to take 2 questions from the audience that sort of are related. One is there an ideal length of time per each video? I see some of yours are 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Do you have a recipe for that? And then staying on the topic of time, how much time do you dedicate per week, per month, per day to managing this, to your YouTube channel?
Both amazing questions. The first one about the question of how long should videos be, that is, I would say the shortest the video can be to thoroughly answer the question or topic that you're discussing. I wouldn't post videos less than 2 minutes, because what matters to YouTube the most, and again, if you start a YouTube channel, if you go into their YouTube studio, they tell you at the top that they value watch time more than anything. So you could put an hour-long video out. However, the retention rate of somebody watching that video for an hour is very low. So there is a sweet spot in general between kind of 6 to 8 minutes for really detailed educational material. More tips and tricks videos, something that's a little bit more viral, is usually around 4 minutes. But there's also different strategies for long form content, which are 15 plus minutes. So it really depends on what you're talking about, but try to shorten their fluff. And this is an issue I still have trouble with a lot of videos, is I want to be concise and I want to give the full story. I don't want to just say, like recently I posted one about blue light. I didn't want to just be like, hey, there's theories about this hurting the eye, and that's it. I wanted to say, but it's highly debated in eye care because it is. And so trying not to be too clickbaity, but giving the full story. And I honestly don't worry about how long my video is going to be. I just make the video as well as I need to, and it just happens to fall between like the 6 to 8 minute mark. So that's a great question, though.
Yeah, for us, like when we talk about blog length, it's kind of something similar. We get questions all the time: how long should my blog be? And the answer that our manager of content and SEO has always said is as long as it needs to be, and that's really it. And I think you don't want to drone on. I think your answer to like be concise but make sure that it's full of the information they're there to see. So as long as it needs to be. And then overall, how much time do you spend a week on your YouTube channel?
It's probably pretty embarrassing of how much I spend time on it. I don't know the exact hours, but it probably takes me a good hour to 2 hours to plan the video. Maybe another hour to 2 hours to shoot the video. Like if I'm on my game, it'll probably be 2 hours to plan the video, 2 hours to shoot the video, probably 4 to, depending on how fancy I want to be at the editing, 4 to 6 hours to editing. So it's probably a 10 to 15 hour job just to post a video.
So for those that just had a heart attack about wanting to do this and then they've just decided to turn this off, that's kind of the point of the outsourcing, right? So you can hire somebody and it could be, this is where maybe an intern comes in or a summer student or somebody. You can pre-record a lot of content. I know with us, the content that we create, we try to do a lot of it in one day. We get everyone to, look their best and we get them prepped mentally. You bring in the camera, we have a videographer, they film everything in one day. It goes into the video editing studio and they edit everything. And so you've chosen to do a lot of this yourself. And that's something it seems to be a passion of yours, but that's not the only way that people have to do. They can outsource and bring in professionals to make sure it looks great, it's edited properly. They can even have people post it and comment and things like that, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, for a very short time, I hired a video editor, and it was working. It was saving me all this time throughout the week, and I felt great about it. I was spending more time with my family and doing more fun things because I didn't have to spend that 6 hours a week editing. But unfortunately, I felt like the quality was going down, and I felt like in order to keep doing it, it didn't work out. So I eventually backed away from it. But now I'm at a point again where it's like I can't keep juggling all this. So I'm again looking at least hiring an editor and outsourcing more of this. But it's certainly if I was running a clinic, it's like I would have to start outsourcing more things.
Cool. Well, let's dive into the equipment. I know we've got lots of questions about that. What kind of walk us through a little bit of the equipment that you use?
So I do have, this is just a website. If you do want to go to the www.kit.co/Dr. iHealth, I do have a couple of kits, which is, because I have a lot of people asking me about this. So that outlines exactly if you want to do 4K video, which is what I'm shooting now, what camera I'm using, what lenses I'm using, the tripods I'm using, what memory cards I'm using. When I first started, I started more on kind of the budget side because I just didn't know how much I wanted to really invest in doing YouTube at the time. So the camera I have here is a Canon. This is Canon SL2. That's what I originally started with. And I have that as a video kit on that website as well. Kind of just my standard high definition, what I've used, now what I'm doing with 4K. For most people though, if you've got even a moderately new phone, anything from certainly iPhone 11 came out with all of their super fancy camera lenses. Even my older phone still shoots amazing video for most people's needs. So those are kind of some resources you guys can look at. If you want to check out that website, you can see everything that I use. But I think for a lot of people, again, if you just know how to use your phone and a couple of free editing software you can find online, that's the bare minimum.
What does this kit cost if somebody were to buy this?
The 4K kit that I've been using, the camera itself is about $1,000. An additional lens, each one of the lenses on the screen right now is probably another $300 to $400. I would say if you were going to get going and try to match the quality of iMat, you're probably going to invest, around maybe $4,000 to $5,000 to get get good lighting, a good camera, a good lens, good sound, and that's about all I've invested. But it worked.
And I think it's also important to notice that audio matters a lot as well. So I see you're using a really nice mic. I know that users, just people in general, they'll put up with bad video before they'll put up with bad audio. And so we have a question about the microphone. Can you just give us a little glimpse into what microphone you're using there?
So, well, this one I actually wouldn't recommend.
Okay.
I got this one as a gift, but what I would recommend are a Rode, one of the Rode mics. That's what I use. I originally had I have it here up in my cupboard here, but it's just a standard Rode mic. This is what it looks like. This is a shotgun mic that attaches to the top of the camera. So while you're talking, it's just connected right here. People don't see it, but you're talking directly to the microphone and it's close by, so people don't really hear an echo. If you are going to buy a Rode mic, I recommend getting the Pro version because the original Rode video mic doesn't have many options. The Pro version allows you to give plus or minus 20 decibels, which is really helpful if you're using a DSLR camera like this Canon here. Otherwise, you get kind of this grainy, static sound in the background just because the input on DSLR cameras for audio is not that great. So that would be something I recommend. Also, you could consider a lavalier mic or a lav mic. There's lots of different brands of those out there. Finding one that's just rated really high should bring you good video audio quality.
Cool.
I wish I remembered the name of the one that I use. I don't have it on the top of my head. But
So, when we were talking yesterday and kind of in preparing for this, you'd said something that sort of grabbed my attention, and you were talking about how your colleagues, everybody on this watching, you were mentioning something about them being able to leverage and use the content you've created. Can you explain a little bit more about that? You kind of what you're, I guess, offering to everybody that's watching?
Yeah, well, when I started this, I knew that I'm like, okay, well, there's not many videos out there, and I knew people were asking these questions. So I figured, well, if I start making these videos and other clinics don't want to, it was kind of my dream that, hey, well, other clinics will just like my videos and then they'll want to share it with their patients. So if you don't want to make videos yourself of this content, you can just share my videos with them, whether it be on your website, or if you want to just recommend them to patients. I know people have reached out. They're like, is it okay if I share your videos on my website? I'm like, absolutely. You can either embed it on there, or you can share a link, and they can check out your website, but then they'll just see me reinforcing and explaining what glaucoma is or what astigmatism is, something along those lines.
Cool. So the easy way to do that is every YouTube video has a share button. You can click that, and there's actually the first option is an embed code that you can grab, and it basically can add it to your website, and it sort of shows a window. So you're not loading it into your website. It's a window into YouTube. So YouTube is still the host. It keeps your website loading fast, and your view count kind of keeps going up, but it's a way for them to use your content easily on their website. So that's how you would do that. Before I talk about paid advertising on YouTube, and we'll talk about that for about 2 minutes. What advice, I'm interested, what advice do you give to someone that's watching this? They're like, okay, I want to try it out. What's your main piece of advice that you want to give to somebody?
Be consistent. I would say there's several other eye care professionals, other eye clinics that have started channels, and I pay attention. I have things that kind of alert me when there's a new trending video on a certain topic in eye care, and there's some people that have come and started making videos. They make like 5 or 6 videos, and I'm like, they're doing great, and then they just stopped. Like it's been like 9 months and they haven't posted anything. I'm like, why did they stop? They're doing so great. And I know there's I forgot the name of the clinic. I know yesterday, again, Kevin, we were talking about a couple other clinics, but there's at least one other clinic right now that is just doing awesome when it comes to YouTube videos for their clinic.
And when you say great, you don't mean, hey, they have 400,000 views. You mean the quality is good, the way that they're presenting themselves is strong. That's what you mean by good, right? So it's sort of the messages, even in your beginning, it didn't just totally take off. It takes some time in order for that to happen, but sort of create your own personal recipe and then be consistent with how you post and when you post. Is that sort of what you're saying?
I would say that's the biggest thing. Just the fact that, again, it takes about 3 months or so for the system of what YouTube is to even understand who you are and what you're talking about, and what topic, that you're talking about eye care. And once the system understands that, then it will start kind of experimenting and sharing your videos with more people. And if you quit before that stuff even happens, then you're not even giving yourself a real chance. So don't be discouraged if you start and you're like, no one's watching this. Don't be discouraged by that. It's something that you just have to know why you're doing these videos and that you're passionate about your topic or your business, and then just keep making that, even for, again, just one person. Just keep doing it, and eventually you'll see it grow, and it can really open up a lot of opportunities. So it's pretty cool.
Cool. And I want to thank you for last week. We did a whole webinar about building a social media plan kind of right now during this crisis. And you were active, and you were sort of our pseudo moderator answering questions. And so as I continue to see questions roll in, I think it's safe to say you're happy to go in and answer some of those questions in the comments. So keep them coming. Joe will go in there and answer you there. We may not have all the time here. I do want to jump into a little bit about paid. We do get a lot of questions about this, and specifically, how does it work? And so if you've ever looked at even one of Joe's videos, you're going to get hit with that 5-second, skip an ad, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are called bumper ads. And it's a great way to brand your practice or promote something that you want to get across. And so that could be just that you're an optometrist or an optician in the community. And so you create this content, and these are videos you would not use 4 minutes or 8 minutes. These are 15 seconds or 30 seconds, very similar to TV ads. But the difference is you can target your ideal, we call it the new patient base, the people that you want to target, because you can target geographically around your practice, around your business, and demographically in terms of age, gender, income levels, even in their interest level, what they do online. Are they shoppers? Are they travelers? And the way that YouTube actually functions is that you only pay when someone watches the video. So if they skip the ad before they've watched the whole 15 seconds or 30 seconds, it doesn't cost anything. And so we're finding so many practices are utilizing YouTube as a great way to promote themselves, because you're making 2 brand impressions, both with audio and visual. You're making kind of those 2 different, you're activating 2 senses. And so here's an example, and I'm not going to play the audio on this, but this is a practice video that we did for somebody in North Vancouver. And so when you think about a 5-mile radius around the practice, targeting men and women 25 to 65 years old, possibly shoppers, people that like to eat out, and travelers, over 50,000 views. And a lot of those are specifically paid ads, or paid views that are around the practice. And so when you can start promoting yourself in a unique, innovative way on a great platform, it's a fantastic way to utilize digital marketing. So I just wanted to touch on that. And before we sign off, I do want to talk about next week. So I said this is a series of 8. J&J, thank you very much for helping us put this together and sponsoring. The 3rd webinar is all about websites and what makes a great practice website. So I will be joined with our manager of website fulfillment. Her name is Jessica. She's fantastic. She's going to spend about 45 minutes to an hour with me. We're going to go through kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, all about websites. We talk about audits and how to know whether your website is sort of in the good, the bad, or the ugly. And we're going to talk about speed. We'll talk about responsiveness. We're going to talk about design and having unique content. So all of that's going to be discussed. From a marketing for ECPs and what's happening with us, we are very excited to be coming out shortly with some new programs. And so we recently sort of changed our program to a marketing membership program, which includes videos that you can use on YouTube that are kind of ready to go. We have social media apps, we have websites, we have all of that, and we're ready to launch sort of a new social media program, a digital relaunch program before. So when you're told that you can open up your doors and you can see patients again, we're putting together a program that actually helps let people know that. And I would be completely remiss if we didn't answer and end on this one final question, which I am getting a ton of, which is all about the legal. So Joe, we talked about this back in November. I think that was a huge hot topic for you then. how do you prevent any liability or legal issues when you're posting content in regards to just kind of making sure that you're playing it safe?
Well, yeah, this was a big thing that I thought of even when I started. There are other medical professionals that came before me that are on YouTube, and it's amazing how there's really not a lot of liability things going on. The big part is you need to have a disclaimer, some form. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I have no. This is not true. Me giving you legal advice in any way, but it definitely. I have a disclaimer on all of my videos, and it's pretty lengthy. Mine is probably the most lengthy I've ever seen of any other YouTuber or certainly any medical professional, but it says, hey, this is for educational purposes only or informational purposes. This is not to be taken as medical advice. You need to see local medical provider or healthcare worker in your area for everything pertaining to your health. If you starting yours, you can feel free to just use what I'm using. Again, I'm not a legal, I am not your lawyer. You can certainly reach out to your lawyer and come up with something and ask them what they think you should be doing. So that is one part. But in terms of responding to people's questions, if you look at the comments that I post, responding back to comments on my videos, if somebody's asking a personal medical question, I try to be very consistent in saying, I wish I could help you, or thanks for reaching out, but that is something that you need to speak with your local eye care physician about. That I cannot help you through over the internet at this time, or something along those lines. So I consistently, because I get a lot of messages on Facebook and on Instagram, people sending me pictures of their red eye, wanting to know how to fix it. I'm just like, I'm sorry, thanks for reaching out. That same thing. I'm unable to give personal medical advice without a thorough examination. It is best for you to consult with a local healthcare professional in your area. And,
cool.
And that's true. That's what I ethically think is best for them. And it just kind of goes from there.
Love it. So anyone else has any other questions, post them here. Joe will go in and kind of answer them. Our team will go in and answer them as well. Here is just a few links. So Joe, you're willing to do some YouTube consultation services. We see a lot of practices here in the comments that are trying this themselves. If they're looking for some help, they can reach out to you either on your website or through your email there. And they can contact you. If you're looking at YouTube advertising options or any just marketing options right now when it comes to your business, reach out to us at info@4ecps.com. And then we are going to post this up on our website. It's on a COVID-19 resources page that's up and live. This will be up within minutes there, but you can also find it on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much to J&J. Thank you very much, Joe, for a great hour. I got a tremendous amount of value. I'm sure that our viewers did. And I look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.